Hey, what's going on, CoinOpTV subscribers? Robert Welkner here. In this video, I want to talk about the show Dickinson on Apple TV+. I just finished watching up all 10 episodes. Unlike some of the other shows like The Morning Show, See, For All Mankind, Dickinson, Apple TV dropped all 10 episodes at once. So I had to kind of wait to binge through, marathon through all of those so I can get kind of a full opinion of the show and give you a little bit of my thoughts, my opinions. And also I want to know what your thoughts and opinions of the show are. Also we'll have some spoilers a little bit into this video, but in the beginning here, just some general thoughts, general ideas about the show to give you a little idea whether or not you want to watch it, and then we'll talk about some of the details and stuff like that. So again, Dickinson, 10 episodes. They're all about 30 minutes each on Apple TV+. The show is stylized. It's visually interesting. It's compelling. It's a fictional tale of the life of poet Emily Dickinson. She was born in 1830 and died in 1886. She lived for 55 years. And I gotta be honest, don't really know a whole lot of Emily Dickinson's poems and her work, but I feel a little bit enlightened now that I'm watching the show into things that I actually want to kind of Google and Wikipedia and find out some more about her and some of her stuff. So the show stars Hailee Steinfeld as Emily Dickinson and Ella Hunt as Sue Gilbert. Another great character on the show is the dad, played by Toby Huss, who I think the dad is like one of the standout characters as well. Great supporting cast. Everybody in the show is just doing a great job. They're either funny or mysterious or interesting or quirky or weird. Something each character has that gives the show some depth, some dynamic, tension and interesting stuff going on there. I gotta say, let me just throw this out there. First of all, Dickinson may quite possibly be the best Apple TV Plus show there is. Now, granted, there's not a lot of competition yet because there's only a few shows that are up there, and I've only watched a handful of shows thus far. I still have to watch Ghost Riders and the cartoons, the Snoopy and the Sesame Show there. But so far, when it comes down to Apple TV Plus, Dickinson is probably like the most compelling, the most interesting. I don't know if I'm quite the target audience for it, but I like kind of shows that are witty and clever and smart, and they look fresh and different and offbeat, and that's what this show has. This Dickinson show has. It's very stylized. It's sort of like it's almost like watching like a music video in a way, like 30-minute music videos, like a Taylor Swift or Katy Perry, very stylized music video. And there's songs in it. It's all, let me give a heads up if you don't know about the show. There's like modern songs in it. There's modern language. People are using slang. People are saying totally and what if and sup and things like that. And at first it kind of threw me off, and I thought, okay, that's what we're going with here. We're going with some slang set into the 1800s, but it is all a costume period. I mean, all the costumes and the wardrobe and the buildings and everything around it looks very authentic. It's just kind of the way the characters talk. It's almost like, somebody dropped like a bunch of old rap and pop CDs into the 1800s, and some of the town folks got to hear that, listen to it, and say, hey, you know what? This sounds cool. Let's speak like this, but we're still going to dress and wear, these kind of old clothes, and we're stuck in the 1800s. So that's kind of the conceit of the show there, just so you know going in about it. And I was looking at IMDb and I was looking at some critics on there and people leaving feedback, and they were like, oh, they've destroyed the legacy of Emily Dickinson, and they've ruined this and they've ruined that because it's not faithful and stuff like that. It's not trying to be faithful. It's a stylized show. It's taking segments of her poetry quotes and putting it into the story and trying to grab real world scenarios from the Emily Dickinson past and fictionalize it and expand upon it. And I think what it does is actually makes it a little more interesting. It makes you sort of want to go, hey, wait, did that really happen? I need to Google that. I need to Wikipedia that, and I need to find out some more of that. And I think that's a positive of the show, because a guy like me who might not normally be sitting around reading Dickinson poems, may be a little more curious now to sort of check some out. So it's very centered on a lot of different things. There's the race, gender equality, politics. There's a lot of talk about the Civil War and coming up and an impending civil war. So it's kind of interesting if you know history and some of history, you're sort of like, oh yeah, you know, some of these things that they're talking about are actually going to come true and they're inevitable, or at least, you know, maybe things could have been changed, but the history went in a certain direction there. You know, some people may be a little turned off because some of the things are really on the nose with the gender equality and you know, the women in the kitchen and the workplace and things like that are really talked about and exposed. And of course, it's all done in sort of a comedic way and a really kind of subversive way where, like, there's a scene in one of the episodes where the Dickinson and her friend Sue, they sneak in, they dress like boys, and they go into this lecture. Emily's hat falls off, and one of the guys is like, no, there's girls in here, there's women, and stuff like that. And you just have to laugh when you're watching it because it's kind of done so surreal and funny. But then when you sit down and think about it, you're like, man, this stuff was all true back in the day. And, you know, all we can do is rejoice and appreciate that for the most part, times have changed and things they're better off. You know, maybe not 100%, but maybe one day we'll get to 100%. So anyway, there's just some of my thoughts about Dickinson. I'm really liking the show. I'm glad that I blasted through and didn't just do like a few episodes and then talk about it, because I feel like it picked up steam and it sort of started off kind of really comedic and montagey and silly in the first few episodes, but then when we got to like the 5th or 6th, 7th episode, man, things kind of got a little more serious. People were, you know, intense things were happening. So let me get to the spoiler part of things. Hands up, spoilers. Let's talk some details. When we got to episode 5, which is called I Am Afraid to Own a Body, that was one of my favorite episodes. They were sort of adapting a Shakespeare play, Othello, and we really got to see the nuances of the genders and the race and the family structure. You know, really kind of honed in. That was a very cleverly done episode, written, acted. That episode to me was a standout, and I think that's when Dickinson really started to kind of push into like the serious side of things, the more serious side of things. I mean, it's still kind of wacky and silly along the way with some of the fantasy elements, but that's when things kind of started to hook me in. And then a couple episodes after that, episode 7 was called We Lose Because We Win. This is when the dad is trying to get elected and as an official, and Emily's trying to get a play published, and some serious stuff goes down, and the dad actually, you know, whacks Emily in the face, and then she goes into this little fantasy montage element there, and all that stuff is like visually interesting. It kind of feels like I'm watching like if Baz Luhrmann, you know, the guy who did Moulin Rouge, if he sort of directed a TV show, it sort of almost feels like that kind of vibe going. You have to let me know in the comments below if you're getting any sort of the Baz Luhrmann vibe watching Dickinson or not. So those 2 episodes really stood out. So the second half of the show is kind of like the serious, more intense stuff that kind of really draws you in, whereas the first few episodes I felt were like the fun. Let's get to the montages. Let's get to the witty dialogue. Let's get to the silliness. So hang in there if you try Dickinson, because I think it gets better as things go, which is another thing that I'm finding with these Apple TV shows. It seems like the first couple episodes seem very rushed, and then as we get going, things kind of hook you in. So thanks a bunch for watching this video. If you guys are brand new, please subscribe, leave a comment. I'm making these videos basically to kind of get some comments, see what people are saying about Dickinson and Apple TV Plus and their vibes. I also reviewed the morning show, See and For All Mankind, so check those videos out as well. And as soon as Disney Plus launches, I hope to start reviewing some of those shows and movies and stuff on there as well. So thanks so much for watching for CoinOpTV. We'll see you guys next time.